Like, comment, share, and subscribe. Hit that notification bell in the upper right hand corner. Follow me on all forms of social media. Check me out at thatdrummerguy.com and enjoy the following presentation. Hello? Hey, how's it going?
Hey Josh, great talking to you again. Hey.
Yeah, it's great to be able to talk to you again. I mean, it's been a little bit since the last time I was able to talk to you, of course, talking about that amazing album, but it's awesome that you were able to take the time to be able to talk about this brand new masterpiece from Obscura.
Sure, anytime. I remember the last time we talked very well. It was a cool one, and very long, actually.
Oh yeah, I think it was pretty close to an hour that we had going on with that one.
Yeah, I remember. It was killer. Yeah. So, how you've been?
I've been doing great. A lot, of course, on both sides of the table here. I mean, a lot's been going on in the last few years, and when the opportunity came up to talk about the brand new album, it's just like I just got so excited because of how well it went last time, and it's just like there's so much to be able to dissect with this brand new album. I mean, it's great to be able to talk to you again.
Sure. So let's go for it.
Oh yeah,
I'm ready.
Well, of course, the brand new album is already coming out next Friday through Relapse Records. I've gotten the chance to be able to check this out over the course of the last week or so, and I just absolutely love where this album is going. I mean, there's so many, it feels like there's so many broad new ventures that are going on with this album in terms of the variety that's going on there, the different styles that are being incorporated. It feels more orchestral in some parts, just like very grandiose in so many great spots as well, yet still feels like what I would want from an Obscura album. It's so great to be able to see that album's already coming out a week from tomorrow.
Yeah, we can't wait to finally see how our fans react to the record. And I mean, I'm very happy that you like the record. At least that's what I read between the lines. And well, we are convinced it's a good record, but that's basically the record. In the end, the fans decide if it's a good one or a bad one. But so far, the feedback is killer, and the response is absolutely overwhelming. We made it to place number 1 and number 2, so the pole position and second position in the two biggest rock and metal magazines in Germany overall. This is something we never had or accomplished before ever, and I'm absolutely overwhelmed and happy at the same time. So let's see what the fans will decide. But I'm very happy to present the whole record to the guys out there. And since we presented, I think, 3 singles so far, and the reactions have been interesting because it seems like everybody likes 1 or 2 songs and dislikes another one, and it's not always the same song they don't like or they like. It's completely different, so different tastes, and I'm looking forward to their reactions on the whole record.
Oh, it's so fantastic to hear that it is getting an overwhelmingly positive reception that's going on there. And yeah, I do find it kind of funny, it's just like some people are able to enjoy 2/3 of the singles that have been released so far, but I at least know from me, it's like I didn't really listen to the singles as singles. I waited till I heard the whole album, so I just got that full aspect of what the album was going for, and it's just, I love it from start to finish when it comes to that. I mean, just being able to hear everything in the track order that it was meant to be in, and seeing how all the songs flow together the way that they should, it feels like such a great grandiose album from start to finish when you listen to it that way.
Thank you very much. That's the perfect way to digest a record like that. You have to see that we wrote so many songs that didn't make it to the record because we tried to keep the whole record from front to end interesting. And that also means that there's not one single song that really represents the whole record as a whole. So we had a very hard time to pick up the first single or the second single simply to more or less introduce the fans and press to what is the whole record. But in the end, you have to listen to the whole album from front to end to understand the story. And it's so diverse and so many different styles and different vibes. And sometimes even a black metal vibe is shining through. Sometimes old heavy metal classics that you feel in your guts when you listen to the songs. And sometimes it's really a straightforward, trashy attitude. And it's so different. And it's really great to hear that you took the time to listen to the whole album from front to end instead of just picking out some songs and then I don't know, make your opinion how the record may be, because that's something all the fans have to do out there. And if you really take the time listening to the whole album, it's perfect. It's seriously perfect, because then you understand, especially within the track list, how the story should be told as a whole.
Oh, absolutely. I couldn't agree more with that. I mean, both from the musical aspects, the lyrical content that's going on there. I mean, there's so much to be able to really sink your teeth into when you're listening to an Obscura album. I mean, especially with this conglomeration of like the finality of this 4-album project that's going on with here. I mean, there's so much to be able to latch onto. I mean, when you have like the title track, which is just a great soaring song to be able to show off. A Convergence, I thought was another great one that really stuck out to me. The Conjuration, I mean, it was great to be able to see that really dark, evil side of Obscura, which I never really heard in this project, being able to show off in a different way like that. And of course, the finale of it all, just like the epilogue to Infinity. I mean, it just sounds so crushing. I mean, even with the polyrhythmic time signatures that are going on there, I mean, it's got that great groove that's going on there, even if it's a little more simplistic than the rest of the album, but just a great finale for the album and in this whole concept that's been going on.
Thank you very much. But you have to see that all of those songs have somehow their connections to previous records and certain songs. You mentioned The Conjuration with its black metal vibe. This is actually a direct link to the song Velocity from the album Omnivium.
Oh yeah, that's right.
It has, if you listen to that song, Velocity, you feel it's exactly the same drum feel, the same swingy beat or shuffled blast beat, so to say, and also the vibe and the vocal style is similar. It changed over the years a little bit, because I also changed as a singer, and of course I got older and more grumpy, and but it's still a connection to this song. And there are also a couple of other connections, or you can even call it Easter eggs, between song melodies or song arrangements, or of course lyrics. It's all bound together, this 4-album concept, and finished with Diluvium. To have a little bit more, I mean, the seventh Eon is lyrically bound to the Sermon of the Seven Sons, which is kind of obvious, and this song Emergent Evolution is linked musically to Incarnated within the tapping feel. And there are so many Easter eggs that I think that the really nerds, the real diehard fans will pick up over the next months, and it's something you can pick up if you listen to the album a couple of times, or if you're familiar with the previous records. There are a couple of things you will raise an eyebrow here and there, so to say. But it was simply fantastic to finish this whole project after 10 years. It took longer than we expected. I never thought I'd take 10 years for the 4 records as a whole, but we finished it. We've been persistent and made it. We finished what we once started. Let's keep it like that.
and with that, I mean, how do you feel creatively now, knowing that over the past decade that this 4-album concept is complete? I mean, where do you see yourself going now?
That's a very good question. And to be honest, I feel, first of all, very grateful that we accomplished those 4 records as a band and finished it. So, as I mentioned, we finished what we once started around 10 years ago. And I think we finished it pretty well. Like, each record is bound to each other, but each record also sounds different. So whenever you hear one song, you could immediately pick up the record to it. So it's not a repetition of our own style all of the time, and that's something I'm very, very proud of. At the same time, we finished this long-lasting project, and now we are free to do what we want. I have a couple of ideas in mind where we want to go, but first of all, I would like to underline those 4-album concepts with either a live record, or what I'm working on at the moment is playing each album as a whole on a different continent. So what I want to do is basically playing Cosmogenesis in... I don't have a real schedule yet, but what I want to do is playing Cosmogenesis as a whole in Europe. I want to play Omnivium in, I don't know, Central or South America. I want to play Akrasis in Japan, and I want to play Diluvium as a whole in the United States, or somewhere else, North America, and record the whole thing as either a DVD or Blu-ray disc or something, the visual and the audio at the same time. And in this consequence, I don't know any band who ever did this before. The only problem is, of course, the budget. Nobody knows how to get back any of the money you spend for a project like this, because no one pays or buys DVDs or Blu-rays at all. And with digital streams, it's basically something you put online, you don't get a cent for it. So, but this is an idea I'm working on at the moment before I want to go on with the next record.
Yeah, and as a fan, I would love to be able to see that come to fruition. I mean, we were talking about it last time about how you wanted to be able to create all 4 albums and be able to have all of them in a live setting, whether it be a DVD or a Blu-ray or whatever the case is. And, now knowing that this is all complete now, I mean, I would love to be able to see that actually happen, just like getting as full-scale a production as possible, being able to pull this off. I mean, I would love to be able to sit down at home, be able to pop in a Blu-ray or a DVD and be able to see all 4 albums played out live in its entirety.
Yeah, that would be something for I guess each diehard fan, but also for ourselves. It's something I would love to do. Simply, this is nothing we would make any profit of. It's simply something to underline the whole work we did over the last decade, basically. If you call this as part of the 4-album concept, and simply underline the long-lasting work we did. So I have this idea since a long time, but now I'm starting to build up all the outlines for it. And I'm not sure how long it will take, but somehow we make it happen. We also said, okay, we want to do a 4-album concept. We made it happen. We finished it. It took a while, but we made it happen. And the same time, I want to do with this live setting. So let's see. There's always some headroom to dream.
Oh, sure. And with that, I mean, that's why I'm so appreciative of especially the last 4 albums, including this one, just the fact that you are looking at all these songs, they all have a purpose, and they all have that intention to be able to be played live. I mean, it's not like you're sitting there just trying to write filler or B-sides that'll never be used or played live. Like, all of the songs that have made it onto these 4 albums have that intention of being played live, and I appreciate that so much from the fan perspective.
Yeah, we had to learn that the hard way, to be honest. I remember we wrote a couple of songs on Omnivium on purpose that were written for 4 or 6 guitars that were not meant to be played live. That's something we have to somehow find a compromise to play live. But that also helped us to develop the live setting on the following records. And everything on Diluvium is meant to be able to play live, as well as everything on KROCKS. So you learn from everything you're doing. And although each song has its purpose, that's true. We don't release any B-sides. We have, as I mentioned, a couple of songs and material we did not release on Diluvium or KROCKS, or I even used a couple of riffs from Omnivium on the Diluvium album. But it's somehow you have a gut feeling a certain song does not fit to the rest of the album. It's nothing you could say from an objective point of view, or you really can find an argument for or against it. It's something you feel if it's right or wrong, and then I rather leave the song. Although it might be a good composition, it's always a band decision if you leave a song, and if there are 2 or 3 guys having the same feeling about a song, it's not going to happen, and then we're also not using it.
So with that, I mean, was it a hard decision for those songs that ended up not being on the album, or did you all realize that these songs were just not going in the direction for the album?
Well, that's always a big discussion, because you have to have the guts and the balls to accept that a song is not fitting to the rest of a group, even if you put a lot of work in it. And the same goes for me, being the founder and the longest lasting member in the band. We are all at the same level in the band, and everybody has to accept if a certain idea is not fitting to the rest. And this is something, of course, there are a couple of discussions, and everybody tries to well defend his certain ideas within the group, but it's a band, and the band has to decide as a group. And if there are 2 or 3 members having a feeling, okay, this is not fitting, maybe we should change it, maybe we can rearrange it or something, then we should do it. That's it. And it's a matter of character if you go for it, or if you're doing something else and want to do a solo record or something. But it's not the case, and it never was in the band. And I think this is also the reason why we have a certain a certain band sound. That's something you can pick up from the whole album from front to end. There are many different or diverse songs because you have different songwriters, but at the same time, since everybody is somehow involved into the songwriting with his ideas and also his likes and dislikes, so to say, you form a certain identity of a band within each record. And within Diluvium, of course, sometimes it happened that a certain song is not fitting, and then you have to simply show your character and accept that an idea is not accepted by the band. And this is fine. I mean, this is how you work in a group.
Oh, absolutely. So, also thinking about that as well, as far as the songs that actually did make it onto the album, was there any particular songs that went through like major changes to be able to make it onto the album, or are they pretty close to how they were in the songwriting process?
That's very hard to say, since each record, each song on the record is somehow written at home by either one person and then represented to the group, and then we start rearranging and starting the pre-production. And this is like a fluid process, and there's barely any song that kept its structure 100% or all its notes 100% as when it was presented to the group. So again, each member, even if the whole song, has its influence on each song, and this is something good in my opinion.
Yeah, and that's so great to see that too, you know, just getting that collection of musicians working towards the same goal, making sure that everyone's going to be happy with the material that they're writing and creating and being able to play live in the future once the album comes to fruition and you're able to tour behind it, and you know, just being able to see everything come with that as well. I mean, of course, being in a band, there's so many different directions that it could be going in, and you know, of course, with Obscura, I mean, you guys have been able to explore so many different territories when it comes to it musically. It's great to see with this one as well, you know, just being able to have these outside ideas that might be different than your own, seeing what works, what doesn't, and just work towards that greater good.
Yeah, that's exactly how you work in a band.
Also with that, I mean, obviously, with the album coming up next Friday through Relapse Records and pending live shows that will be happening in the future, have you had the chance to be able to start rehearsing yet as far as the new songs to see what's going to be in the sets?
Yes, we are already in the middle of preparing our set. We have the first show with some Diluvium material in around 2.5 weeks at a show in Italy. It's called Colony Summerfest. It's like a bigger summer open air in Europe. And the second show, like the biggest show we have in Europe, will be the Summer Breeze Festival, which is one of the biggest rock and metal festivals in Europe with like 35,000 people coming, and this is definitely something special. After that, we're going to play a full headlining tour in the United States we have as support the guys from Beyond Creation, Archspire, Inferi, and Exist with us, so it's like a full death metal package. And I think a very extreme package as well. We definitely changed the whole set. We play a couple of songs from Acrasis. We might pick 1 or 2 songs each from Omnivium and Cosmogenesis. But the main focus is definitely on Diluvium and, also Acrasis, because we haven't been able to make it for a tour in North America for that record.
Oh, and yeah, I mean, that makes me so happy. I mean, I remember seeing that a few weeks back, the flyer coming out for the North American tour, and it made me so happy to see that you guys were working towards coming back here and being able to play live, because I know here in North America we really miss you guys, and it was sad not to be able to see you guys on that album, but knowing that things are at least going in motion for the new album, that just makes me so happy to see that.
Well, so far the feedback from North America is gigantic. Seriously, people are dropping. Also, I get so many personal messages from people who visited the first shows we did many years ago, like 2009 or 2010. We played our first tour in the United States, that have been there. They want to go to the show again, and they also knew about the issues we had for Summer Slaughter 215, and it's really great to see that people remember us as a band, and they also know that we have a new record and that they're looking forward to seeing us as a band. At the same time, people really like the package we have. So it's not Obscura only, it's 5 bands that hopefully get their attention to the crowd everywhere. I think in the end of this week, last week, we start to publish the dates, so watch out. Going to be interesting for everybody who's into tech dev.
Oh, and yeah, again, it makes me so happy. I mean, just like from the entire tour package, I mean, I love the fact that you were able to put together such an extreme tour, but it's also very diverse with the way all the bands are. I mean, none of the bands sound alike, and it's just going to make for an incredible night for whatever show someone's going to be able to make it out to, being able to hear this collective of 5 different extreme bands.
I'm very happy with the whole lineup. We invited Beyond Creation for the first European tour over here in 2016. We just played a Japanese tour where Artspire supported us, and I know Exist with Max Phelps, who is my band colleague in Death to All, very well. And Inferi is the only band I haven't met yet, but I only hear very positive things about, and I really love their latest record. So we are in a position where we only pick bands for the tours we really like. So that's what we did in the past. All of those headlining tours, we picked the package, and we are very into making a consistent package that fits, that keeps people interesting or interested, and at the same time we want to give something back to the scene. We always pick 1 or 2 bands that are not known or not very well known, to say the least, but also give the chance to them to represent their material to a bigger crowd and a bigger public. That's what we did in the past with Exevius in 2012. That's what we did with Rivers of Nile, to invite them for the first European tour, as well as Beyond Creation 2016, when we picked them to play their first European tour. And this is just not only a way to say thank you to the scene, but it's also the same what happened to us when we started. We got picked up by the big bands like Cannibal Corpse, Children of Bodom, Black Dahlia Murder, and a couple of other bands like nowadays Sepultura, and it's simply what they do. It's the same what we are doing. This is how a scene works. You somehow get a start, and then you give something back. And this is what we are doing. And I'm very happy that we are in the position that we can pick bands.
Oh, very much so. And yeah, I mean, it's so great to be able to see that, from all sides of the metal scene. It's just like whether it's the legendary acts that have been around for decades, being able to support bands that have been around a shorter amount of time, and now seeing where you guys are at this point, just being able to show off these bands and bring them out on tour, and hopefully being able to continue that metal cycle that's going on, just being able to show off these great bands, just give them the right exposure, and see them hopefully take off like other bands that you've been able to show off in the past.
I would love to, and it's a certain karma issue, if you call it like that. But I just try to support the bands I really like, and I get so many questions, emails, or some. Usually at shows, I get CDs or demos from bands that would like to tour with us, and I'm listening to everything. And if there's something I really love, and sometimes it fits that they have a new record out at the same time, we simply pick them and give them the chance. And this is just a good way to work with. And we also take care of our support bands, because we also got treated like that. We barely had any bad experience on any of the tours so far. Especially Cannibal Corpse treated us very, very well when we've been the newbies, the Greenhorns, on their North American tour when we started. The same goes for Suffocation in 2006, and all this is something that comes out of respect for other bands. It doesn't matter what size they have. If they are, I don't know, if I would play with Slayer or with a small underground band, I would simply treat them exactly the same and, well, say hello exactly the same way. It doesn't matter what band have a big name or what musicians are playing there. It doesn't matter. You simply have to respect each other. And, well, we give something back, and I really hope that especially Inferi and Exist are getting the attention, and I really hope that people are showing up early enough not to miss those bands, because they definitely are worth to, well, be listened.
Oh, absolutely. And if it does happen to hit my area in Minnesota, I mean, obviously the tour dates will be announced soon, hopefully, like you said, by the end of the week, but just hopefully, if it does come by my area and I'm able to make it out to the show, I will definitely be there from the beginning and be able to check out all 5 bands, because I know, especially with the fact that you've been able to help curate how this entire tour is going to be going, as far as all the bands involved, I know it's going to make for an incredible night and an incredible tour.
Let's hope so. And of course, you're very welcome also as our guests in Minnesota.
Oh, well, oh, wow. Thank you so very much for that. I mean, yeah, I mean, if that does happen the way that it is, I mean, yeah, absolutely. I'll be there, and it'll be great to be able to see you guys, because it's been a long time since I've been able to see Obscura live. I want to say it was Children of Bodom and Devin Townsend at Station 4 in St. Paul was the last time I was able to see you guys here in Minnesota, so there's a lot of catching up to do as far as hearing the newer material live.
That was a long time ago at Station 4. I hear the show isn't the venue is not there anymore. I hear they closed it down.
Yes, they did. It was actually a lot of health concerns from there, because it was always known from a lot of bands that are coming in there as like one of the hottest venues in North America because of the ventilation and everything that was in there. So, I mean, even though I saw a lot of great shows there, I mean, there's a lot of other great venues that have popped up since the closing of Station 4. So, I mean, there's a lot more areas to be able to explore now in the musical setting.
Yeah, I'm very sure. Station 4 is not the only venue that is in Minnesota. Very sure.
Oh yeah, and it's great to see it too, because there's a lot more venues that are starting to cater to more of the heavier music that's going on now. So it's great to be able to see like different areas being able to accept more of the heavier music that's going on there too. It's great to see more of that acceptance.
Awesome. Yeah, then well, let's destroy those places, don't we?
Absolutely.
No, I'm looking forward to play there, and even if it's not the let's call it charming area of Station 4.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And one last thing before we wrap things up. I know you got a busy press day and press week that you've been going on so far, being able to promote the new Obscura. I gotta ask, is there anything on the horizon that's going on with Thulcandra?
Yes, we actually last or 2 years ago, I think, we had a slight lineup change, and since I was so busy with recording and producing the new Obscura album, we haven't had the chance to do so much. But at the moment, we are writing the new record, and it seems like we're hitting the studio by the end of the year. In the meantime, we played a couple of festivals and also tours. We have been on tour with Secrets of the Moon and Dodheimsgard from Norway, and we had a headlining European tour with the guys from Nail to Obscurity, which turned out pretty successful for this band, and we just built up our new stage production, and we are starting to rehearse for 2 headlining festival shows we have in the end of July, 27th, 28th of July, and then we're starting to put the puzzle together for new records. We have tons of material, and I think by the end of the year we are going to hit the studio.
Oh, that just makes me so happy to hear that too. I mean, the fact that you are able to find that great balance between Obscura and Thulcandra, you know, being able to show off 2 of these great sides of your musical personality, and, you know, just being able to have such a great, amazing new Obscura album, and then being able to, by the end of the year, start recording some new Thulcandra for, I would hopefully assume would be like a 2019 release or something like that, you know, just being able to show off both of these sides within a year's time.
Yeah, well, I see I'm getting old. Well, I simply love that kind of music a lot, and I'd rather focus on the 2 bands instead of doing a lot of side projects or, I don't know, anything else. I'd rather focus on the 2 bands, and I really love the music and always keep going on and going on and going on. So that are my 2 cents on it.
And you know what? You've definitely earned that as well, too. You know, it's just like, there's some people that are able to adapt to all these different smaller projects and not really be able to get that vested interest into what they're doing. But with you, you're able to really show off everything that you're capable of between Obscura and Thulcandra. So, you know, it's great to be able to see these 2 different sides of more extreme music, being able to have your twist to it and being able to continue to create such amazing music with both sides.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. These are simply the sides of music I really love. That's it. I guess that fits it very well. Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. And with that, I think that's a fantastic note to end on. Thank you so very much for taking the time to be able to talk to me about everything that's going on in your world right now. And of course, talk about the brand new album from Obscura, which is coming out next Friday through Relapse Records. The amazing North American tour that's going to be coming up in the very near future. All these great shows that you're going to hopefully be doing around the world. And hearing about some new Thulcandra, which makes me very happy as well, and something to look forward to in the near future as well. And I really appreciate you taking the time to be able to talk to with me again.
It was a pleasure talking to you, and it would be also a pleasure to, well, have you as our guest at the show in Minnesota.
Oh,
Watch out
absolutely.
for the tornadoes.
Oh,